Uh, I just saw comments that seemed that somebody suggested that my last video that I talked regarding um, the racial. I noticed the different color tones that we carry in our daily life walking on earth. I recognize that there is a difference in our pigmentation, and based on that, not based on that, here's the thing, not based on the pigmentation, but based on the aptitude that the pigmentation carries, the same genetic information that carries a different shade of skin. That same pigmentation apparently is the same as other attributes in the same genetic code. So when the genetic code is passed down generation after generation, and it is kept within certain criteria, the specialty of creatures changes. Let's put it this way. The specialty, I believe, the specialty of creatures is somehow what they have specialized in. Some creatures, some humanoids, us on Earth. Not me, of course, but you guys. I'm the alien here. The pigmentation, beside the fact that that pigmentation is sewed within that genetic code, that such pigmentation should be produced in such degree, and we pop out of, the womb with that encoded. So what I'm saying is, why is it difficult to imagine that the rest of that code that carries this piece regarding the pigmentation, the rest of that code may carry much different information than another strain, because you see such a difference in carrying information regarding what the pigmentation, what degree of pigmentation should the skin have. Well, there are two different DNAs, not to be able to reproduce together, but two very different DNAs. One says this color should be the degree of pigmentation, the other says much different color should be the degree of the pigmentation, from the dark to the white. So the rest of the genetic code maybe have also been restricted down through evolution to specialize in their own field, i.e. emotional intelligence, i.e. physical intelligence, i.e. cognitive intelligence. Why is it difficult to accept that these intelligences are in different degrees in a human being? One may have, if you imagine if every human being is 100% glass has to be full. So why is it that cannot be that it's 70% vodka, one person has 70% vodka, 20% lime, and 10% water, and another person can be 70% water and 20% vodka and 10% lime. So the whole thing is one human. Okay, this has a genetic code. This genetic code has specialized in its specific field based on its environmental condition. So as the Northern Europeans had to think harder how to fucking stay alive half of the year when it's frozen. So this guy has to, use a lot of, calculating power from early on to survive. Because in a place like Norway, in a place like Sweden, in a place like Russia, you have to really think hard how I'm going to make it to the next the next spring. Because winter is like 9 months. They live 3, 4, 5 months a year, max. The rest of it is indoors, inside the cave, inside the house, inside the shelter. So this guy has had like 8 months to think how make that 4 months work, enough, produce enough, gather enough to be able to withstand the next 9 months, 8 months, 7 months, whatever. So that meant he had loads and loads of time to plan and very short amount of time to execute. So this guy had to become very smart, very fast, or very dead very soon. So this is different. This becomes of a different mindset. Different people survive in this environment. A specific kind of people. The people who do very good. They're very good at planning. Very good at planning, management, execution. Basically very good. Or you don't survive. This genetic information, whoever had these pieces in specific places to think in specific ways, very paranoid, very, long-sighted, these were the only ones who were able to survive. The rest perished. I'm sorry. It's just reality. The rest perished. So those people in that area, the ones who survived, are the very well managers, the pinkskins. But in a country like India, imagine India, or imagine any countries of sub-Saharan Africa, Uganda, Kenya, a lot of lush forests, sparsely populated, to such that the land could feed them. The land, that's why India has such a large population, because the land was able to feed them. It's a lush forest all over. Great, all over southern India, of course. So, fruits and vegetables all year round, all around. And this, a lot of reproduction, yes, very beneficial in terms of reproduction. But in terms of foresightedness, fuck no. What foresight? There is no need for foresight. So the Indians became very relaxed. Because there is no need for foresight as far as the 300 million population of India, which was before the... Of course, once in a while, famine comes through and wipes out half the population. Okay, that's acceptable. Wipes out half the population. But acceptable in the terms that then the land was able to sustain for another 50 years its people very well. Another, explosion in population. But the point is this. So these guys developed a different set of genetic information was needed to survive in such a land. A different set of information was needed. Somebody who manages well and calculates well and has foresight, it dies in India. It just dies because it sees all around it that there's much better way of fucking managing this thing, but sees the locals are like, meh, why? So what I'm saying is the different set of genetic information we all had to had in our system, because those who survived were the ones with specific genetic information that was very beneficial to survive. One had to be very social, like Indians are, be able to stand large crowds, large amounts of people, very not so managed well, who cares, a system. That's how system is India, and you see that in how it is in any of the northern in Russia and Scandinavia, any of the Nordic countries. There's like, what fuck is this? So you take an Indian to Scandinavia, and I've seen they're like, they can get used to, you know, a little not being on very friendly terms with the locals, because the locals are not, that's not their thing, being friendly, being gregarious, being that's not their thing. It's they're thinkers, not, you know, dancers. And then you take so Indians in Nordic countries, in Russia, turn out they form their own little groups, so they can go sing and dance and jump up and down, and pretty much, you know, leave the locals to themselves, but be able to survive. But the Nordics go down there, and it's difficult for them to actually survive, because they go crazy after a while. It's sort of like, no, this is not working. The locals don't give a fuck. So there a different set of genetic information has been able has different genetic information was able to survive in their certain specific environment. These guys are thinkers and planners and paranoid, and those guys are happy-go-lucky, very happy-go-lucky. Let's put it that way. So, and it just happened that because of different level of sunshine that we get from the sun, and we had to have different level of protection. Again, those who survived that had that level of protection. If they didn't have that level of protection, they wouldn't survive that environment. Again, another genetic specialty. Folks, this genetic thing is basically specializes creatures to their environment. When the fish doesn't have a need to have eyes inside of a cave, after millions of years of evolution and revolution and evolution and revolution, eventually loses the eyes altogether. It's sort of like, okay, there are two holes here. There is a item here that is not necessary to life in this environment, because there is no light anyway. We just, you know, sniff our way around, and eventually those eyes become not useful, and become either turning to something else or just sit there and collect fat. But the point is this: we specialize to our environment. The environment that a Nordic person had to live is very different from to survive in. Had to be is very different from the environment that the people of Equator had to survive in. They had to be able to, you know, withstand large numbers. These guys just had to sit down and plan how to survive a long time without, you know, with limited supplies. So based on that, different now you see people with different shades of skin, but it's just not the shade, it's their perspective on life is also, it's like their mission in life is different. Their mission in life, I can basically put it this way. It seems it's like the mission in life kind of thing in different pigmentation of people who are living on Earth. Basically, their mission in life is very different. Is pigmentation related? Let's put it this way. And that's not a bad thing. it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad to recognize. This is not racism. Racism is you hate the guy because of who he is. I don't hate the guy because of who he is. I enjoy the guy because of who he is. I mean, you start talking with a black guy and just goes on and on. It's enjoyable, the conversation, but it goes on and on and on. And then you meet a guy from a Nordic country and people of Nordic heritage, north of Earth, the northern hemisphere, and the conversation is very short, to the point, and have a nice day. You see where I'm going with this? Just as simple as that. And neither one is right or wrong. It just is. It's just is. It's not right or wrong. It just is. And so recognizing that we are very different in mission of life oriented kind of way, the way we of course physically different. I mean, look at it this way. Baseball in the United States started in two different league, a white league and I believe they call the Negro League. Of course, when you keep two populations separate, this thing happens. It's normal when you keep two populations separate based on the pigmentation of their skin. They dwell in, because they're separate, they dwell in different, for example, parks. And where are parks? Parks are places where kids start playing and find their talent and whatever. And so these kids were finding their talent at an early age in different parks, found different coaches, blah, 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 and eventually formed, because they were in two separate ways, formed two different leagues. And just this fact means that the level that the Negro League was functioning was like at here, and the level of the White League was here. And just the fact that they separately entered into the system, entered into a league of sort, not that alone was a preventive for the integration of these two leagues, but also the fact that their level was different. And what happened? What happened is basically after the main problem was because the white folks the pink skins were seeing that the level of the Negro League is right up there, and they were thinking their guys are like, they're not, it's no match. So the point is this. Then they got together, and of course what happened, those who had more talents in this kind of talent stayed, and those who had less talent in this specialty had to leave. And what happened at the end? It's like right now what has been like usually 70-80% black or blackish folks, and 20-30% pinkish folks has become the league. And what does that tell you? This is not racism, this is not stereotyping, this is just fact. So what does that tell you is that we are equipped with two, based on planet Earth, from the whitest white to the blackest black, we are to reds and yellows and browns and all the rainbow. We, because of the place we were living on Earth, we were, those of us who survived, who had this specific set of characteristics, aptitudes to survive in their own specific environments. So those who survived had a specific genetic code. And this genetic code makes them who they are in their approach to life. One is a runner, one is a thinker, one is a gambler, one is a planner, one is happy-go-lucky, one is we have to sit down and talk. So recognizing this by itself is not racist. In fact, it takes a load off people's back. Let's put it this way. Recognizing that we are equipped differently with different aptitudes takes a load off a lot of people's backs. A big load. What I mean is that it's a burden to see that people who do not have an aptitude it's clear there is no aptitude to do a certain kind of performance, but it's clear that there is more aptitude in another specific kind of performance. We come and say that no, you all have to perform the same in all aptitudes. You have to, read as good as this guy does, and you gotta jump and do a, jump shot as good as this guy is doing. And this idea, this bullshit that we are selling our kids, that the idea that we are selling our kids that you can be anything you want. No. Impossible. You can be anything you within your aptitude. What's wrong with that? You can be anything you want within the range of your aptitude. And within that range of aptitude, then it's hard work. And then you can become. Then it's, within your range of aptitude. This is your range of aptitude. Now after this is hard work may give good results. Recognize that, and then recognize that, dude, if there are no more physical work available, what happens to the folks who are better at physical activity? There are not that many professional basketball teams needed in the media age. If there were no TVs or radios or computers, and all the basketball games had to take place locally, and you could only watch it locally, and you can't see it on the screen, then you will have thousands and thousands of professional basketball teams all around every city and every corner. There was a professional basketball team because people enjoy watching, people play with the ball for a time. But the point is this: you have the screens, and the screens are screened all over the media. So there's only need for a small basketball league of whatever number of teams, and every state that can afford a team can have a team, or some state can afford to have 3 teams, 4 teams, or 5 teams. And yes, we can have something like that, but it's screened, so there is not those teams become very well known, but then the rest, there's no jobs. There's no job. When you mechanize everything, and there's no need for physical activity that much, there are no jobs that can be done with physical activity. And when I say can be done with physical activity, you can't go backwards. I mean, this idea that we can go backwards and say no, let's bring back the physical, let's let the man work again by physical activity, and let's not mechanize. It's just stupid. Because You don't want to injure a human being if the job can be done with a mechanized unit. If the job can be done with a mechanized unit and you don't have to injure a human being, then there is a chance that a human being can be injured, so you do it with a mechanized thing. The maximum that can happen is the mechanized thing breaks and you change its part. It's difficult to change human being parts. So the point is this: so we are going to be mechanized eventually, 100% automated, eventually 100%, and even a lot of the thinking jobs is going to be given to the AI. Okay, so there is basically up to this point for the past 100 years or so that we found automation and mechanization. Up to the past 100 years. In this past 100 years, there was no need for physical activity. Now there is no longer going to be, from now on, there's no longer going to be any need for any mental activity either. The truck driver is just, his job was sitting there and mentally calculating distances and movements. Now the computer is sitting there, so his job wasn't so much physical but mental, and that's taken away either as well. So you got loads of people with these aptitudes, physical and now cognitive. These jobs are going away, and that's one of the problems they have with employment situation, because everything can be are getting more or less, everything is becoming more and more mechanized and automated. Forget about it. Even the thinking part. There is a website that obviously everybody knows, that you go and you give all the legal information that you need regarding a specific performance, such as a divorce. You fill it in and you do this and you do that and have a nice day. A lawyer who spent years reading a few books had a job doing this work for a fee. Now he doesn't do it. He's out of a job. Well, he's out of a job, but he has some savings, hopefully, but then what? Then what was the next generation? There is not going to be jobs for people are not going to go to these fields that there's no longer any need for it. So there goes the physical activity was lost in 20th century on Earth, and mental activity is going to be lost in 21st century. You don't need to drive, you don't need to clean, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that. So this is killing the mental activity. So people have less and less to do, and more ways of spending good time. People like to congregate and be together and sing and dance. So why the only you have to recognize this. You have to recognize this. And back to the racism, recognizing that people are very different at different things is not racist. But hating them for what they're good at, that's racist. You see, and the reason the leagues were not the Negro leagues and the white league was kept separate for a long time was because that was racist, because it was hating the black folks for what they're good at. Baseball, physical activity. That's racist. Hating people for what they're good at. And it's also racist to expect them to become good at what they're not good at. Baseball might be their thing, but calculus, not so much. there are professors of calculus who are black. I'm sure they are, but anomalies. So anomalies happen, but the point is this, that let's recognize all talents, all aptitudes matter, all aptitudes matter, and let's pay all aptitudes not based on how much we are willing to pay them, but based on how much it costs them to live. If you work for me, I need to know that you are sleeping well, are eating well, are you fun, because if you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, you're not going to be an employee for a long time, because you're going to kill yourself, you're going to injure yourself, you're going to injure my business. So the point is this, that the whole idea that we are going to pay people with as little as we can get away with, and if they can't live on that much, that's not my problem as an employer. And you're thinking to yourself, if I'm worried about my financial health, and I'm not sleeping well at night, that's my problem or that's your problem? It's my problem, but eventually it's going to become your problem. You're going to lose an employee because the employee is going to have an accident, because he's not sleeping well at night, because he's not eating well at night, because his life is not a normal life. It's not what you would expect a life that would be, beneficial for the person. And then when you look at it and you read that, in Europe, the employees get 3 months a year. 3 months? Yeah, I think it was 3 months. 90 days? 3 months a year. Leave with pay, I believe. Yeah, you can't not work for 3 months and not get paid either. So they get 3 months of leave without pay. And that's a good thing. But do you know how many months without, how many months of paid leave do Americans get? About 0. Usually it's about 0. There is some, but you know better not to use them. We're not paying you here to, go to the beach, bitch. So, but Europeans, this is what I'm saying, that these ways of abuse is there. These ways of abuse is there. Let's not, and what you see that they're getting away with it. They're getting away with it. They have got away with it for a long time. And then when you look at the situation that Europeans have worked out, you see that they're really treating their citizens much better. And then you see that so folks, you gotta admit there is a difference in races, but you have to pay them well. Yes, a job may not require a lot of cognitive input, but as long as you're employing them, you gotta pay them enough so the employee can live, so he would not cause problems for your own business, including losing an employee because they're just not showing up for work on time. So you and the rest, let's recognize that you have to pay different shades the same thing. Good. a kind of income that they can live on. And if people with a darker shade have a different aptitude, let's pay them as well as you pay people with a lighter shade who have a different aptitude. I'm trying to say that you gotta pay people to eat. You gotta pay people to live. And this division that has formed, that okay, these physically demanding jobs do not need to get paid, as well as those cognitive jobs, and so a large section of the population, of your population, which is of any population which is darker in shade, have a different set of tools to work with, different set of aptitudes to work with than your segment of population that might be a little lighter in shade. So, but the job opportunities the jobs, whatever they are, have to be paying well both sides. Pay well the teacher and pay well the construction worker or the teachers are not getting paid at all. Pay teachers well and pay the food service workers, the waiters and the cooks and all of those guys. You gotta pay them well and equal because yes, the cognitive thing, the cognitive aptitude, we think it's worth more, but they both have to live. You see, they both have to live and pay the same tolls, telephone toll and tax, and they both have the same expenses. They should have the same expenses. They have different aptitudes. One is good more physically and one is good more cognitively. They may have different aptitudes. They do have different aptitudes. Remember, because they originated from two different environments that demanded two different sets of aptitudes. So there is this difference there. But let's not treat that in a way that one aptitude is worth less than the other aptitude. This is the problem we are having. We are having this issue that no, one aptitude is not worth as much as, I will pay a guy who can think a lot, 10 times, 100 times more than a guy who can, play the drums, or a guy who can, jump up and down 500 times a day. This doesn't have to get paid that well. This one that can sit there and play a game of chess, he should get 10 times more than him. Well, eventually what will happen is his life and his children's life and his grandchildren's life, they all get to have a lot of money because they all were good at, had a high cognitive aptitude, and these guys who had a more physical aptitude keep on having, poor and poor and poor, generation after generation after generation, because what they're good at is not what is valued in the society, what is not paid for in the society. What I'm saying, that's the problem. Fix that. Yes, recognize the race. It's not racist to recognize the race. It's not racist to say one race is better at certain kind of aptitudes and one race is better at a certain different kind of aptitudes. One is a thinker, one is a doer. Just don't overpay the thinkers and underpay the doers. End of story. Find a way to balance the two. That means bring up the pay, either decrease the pay of the overpaid guys over here and increase the pay of the underpaid guys here. Decrease the salary of the thinkers and increase the salary of the doers. You'll have a much fairer society, but that has to be recognized. And we cannot all be computer programmers. We can't. I can assure you we cannot cannot be computer programmers. Uh, I can't. I have dyslexia. So just, learning the order of alphabet in English language, in normal English words, was difficult enough for me, but remembering a whole new set of order of different characters performing a different function is out of the question. So again, that's my thing. Everybody has a thing. So that's why there are few computer programmers, and that's why there are, few Michael Jordans. But this idea that we say, no, we are not going to recognize that. Anybody who puts their mind to it, this can be Michael Jordan, and anybody who can put their mind into it, if they put their mind into it, they can be computer programmers. Fuck you. That's racist. Thinking that there is no difference while there is difference, that breaks people, that creates resentment. Expecting people to be good at things that they don't have the aptitude for, that's torture. That's torture. When you you tell the guy who has difficulty reading after many tries, who has difficulty reading, you come to a conclusion that, well, we gotta find what is his aptitude, and we have to find a job for that guy. Or if we can't find a job for that person, we provide a monthly income for that person, a dignified monthly income, same as a engineer, or bring the engineer level down. He should not be living on the mountain, and this guy should not be shining his shoes. It's because that would be racist. You see, recognizing that we are different with different aptitudes, that's racist. That's not racist. If recognizing we are different with different aptitudes, that's not racist. But killing people, breaking people, by telling them that they can be good at something that they're obviously not equipped for, that's just torture. And why are we doing this as human society on planet Earth, the third one from the sun? Why are we doing this? Here's the thing. I was talking to this woman. She said, it was a brief conversation. She said, I don't know why we're paying so much. I don't have any kids. Why am I being charged for somebody else's kids to pay for the school? Why am they're charging me? Because in a tax bill, Uncle Sam marks one by one how many dollars and cents is going towards this, how many dollars and cents is going towards that. I love Uncle Sam, such a good manager. So much of this money is going towards the other one, and so on. And there's a number that says that such and such a number number from your is part of your tax is going towards the local school. And the woman was telling me that, yeah, why am I paying? I don't have any children. And you think to yourself, dear lady, do you live in this neighborhood? Do you want when you come out of your house, do you want to, feel safe? Then you certainly want to pay for the education of the kids in your neighborhood. It's such a simple fact. It's sort of like you're paying for your safety. You're paying for your safety because you want to feel safe in the society, and the only way to feel safe in the society is to educate the society. The society, if the society is all the society of professors in something, again, different aptitudes, but they're all professors of something, and they're paid, a dignified salary for doing something, even if it's just going to a library and reading more books. I mean, we are going to get to that point that people are going to be paid to just sit in a library and read books and make art. A point in the future, 50 years from now, 20 years from now, we're going to reach a point in the future that the governments see that, okay, there's nothing for you guys to do. The machines are doing the job much better than any of you motherfuckers would do. So then they don't need vacations, and as a society, that's a good thing. It's more efficiency. The more automation means the system has become more efficient. But then the population has nothing else to do. Now you have to pay them to do nothing. Might as well say, hey, we pay you, you go study. Here's some money, we pay you monthly, you go and sit in the library and read. Or go to a workshop and create something. And we pay you for it. Have a nice day. That's basically that's the only option that is, because if when the machines start doing everything, they'll do it much better than us. There's no need for us. Yeah, it's not racist to say one is much better physically and the other is much better cognitively. It's part of the code. It's part of the genetic code. I can't jump 5 feet in the air. Never, ever in my life have ever came anywhere close to jumping 5 feet in the air. Some of these guys in high school, they can jump 5 feet in the air. And then there's the guy who sits down and does a beautiful mathematical equation, solves a beautiful mathematical equations, and sits for hours and hours explaining to you that exactly what these numbers represent and how great this mathematical equation, how graceful is this mathematical equation. So you're telling me that if this guy had put enough time into playing basketball, he could have jumped 5 feet in the air, and that guy would have come, if he had spent enough time in the mathematical department, would have been behind this table, and he would be, wandering in the grace of the mathematical equation. Never. And if you want to see if your argument holds any water, take it to the extreme. At that point, you will realize that if this argument still holds water at this extreme, that means the argument is sound. But this argument that we can do anything, all races can do anything they want if they put their mind to it. I said no such thing. We are different, but we should be paid the same. We should all have a dignified, respectable life and get paid just, based on our aptitude, if I'm good at walking around and picking up trash all day, I should be, if I'm good at that, I should be paid as much as a engineer who sits in the office and plays with his pencil all day. And the teacher the teachers are not getting paid. A society that doesn't pay its teachers well as the people of Finland are paying their teachers, any society that is not paying their teachers as much as the people of Finland are paying is a backward society, is in Stone Age. The most important members of the society are the teachers. The most important. You pay teachers well, extremely well. So you would have university level mind in music, for example, working with 7-year-olds, because the pay is so well that the guy, instead of sitting over there and sitting and writing a book, would just go and teach, music to 7-year-olds. Imagine what that could result into. 7-year-olds who have aptitude in the music, who dance in the beat, not out the beat. Yes, there is aptitude, folks. Races are, and the aptitude is pigment. The aptitudes are somehow related to the pigmentation because of the environments. The environments demanded different set of tools to be able to survive in that environment. Some had to have more cognitive tools, and some had to have a different set of tools to survive in a crowded environment, for example. It's just we have different set of tools. It's not racist to recognize that. But it's racist to treat different people differently because they were born with different set of tools. That's racist. It's racist to pay people differently just because the set of tools that they were born in was that they were not born at the right time in space. We all know up to 20,000 years, 10,000 years ago, the only thing that counted was physical activity, physical strength that kept our ancestors alive. So at one point, all we had was physical strength. It's not racist to recognize that, but then we had to, develop different set of skills to be able to survive in our different environments. But let's pay people. Let's not, discriminate amongst people based on the shade of their skin, based on this different aptitude, that shade of skin that comes with a specific aptitude that they come with. That makes black folks very poor in the United States, and pink skins very rich in the United States, because they're getting paid differently for their aptitudes. Much differently. That's racist.